Welcome to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast.
Hello. Oh, that was too high, wasn't it?
Just keep in mind that this could be one of our best ever podcasts. This could go to anyone could be interested in this.
It's just us on it, so it's hard without Nicole doing the start.
Do you want me to host it?
I'll give it one more go, then you can give it a go. Hello, and welcome to a podcast with me and Sam. I'm Diarm. Sam is Sam. And we are going to launch a new product. Think that works?
If you were launching a toy or something on some kind of DIY homemade, like an internet channel. That's an internet channel. Like you need to go for mainstream TV.
Okay. Cool.
Hello and welcome to the EquiRatings. I can't even say the name of my own company properly.
Okay, go.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast. And this is a special with myself, Sam Watson, and my co-founder and business partner, Diarm Byrne. Diarm, welcome to the show. Sorry, I just cut over you there.
That was good.
That shows I'm not professional.
No, that was excellent. Okay. Yep. I'm good, Sam. Thanks. Friday afternoon. Ready. We've been waiting a long time for the show. I'd say probably 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in the making.
Well, that's just when we thought about launching this. We have listeners. We have a number that I think could have a big impact on the sport. I'm not going to go too fanciful here and say that it could change the sport, but this is one for the fans, but this is one for performance managers. This is possibly one for how people buy and sell horses. This is certainly one for how owners and riders are going to set their own targets and measure themselves as to where they are. This is a big number. It is one single number, and it is very much. We've been on a big push of simple metrics, and that's been a great success. And they break down your performance in lots of different ways: dressage, speed, reliability, etc. This, though, is not simple. It's complex. It's built by our super data scientist, Sean Murray. So he deserves a huge amount of credit here. But this is the overall rating. This is basically, if you want to say who's the best sport in the world, this is the number.
What's it called?
It is called the EquiRatings Elo. Elo, folks, for anyone, I hope someone out of our thousands of listeners that we get every day downloading this wonderful podcast, someone surely has heard of Elo before. This is a methodology that is used for ranking. It started in chess. Mr. Elo himself, I don't know his first name, but he's a Hungarian physics professor.
Arpad. That's his name.
There we go. Okay.
Arpad Emric Elo.
Well,
born 25th of August 1903. He was and is the creator of the Elo system. Now, the Elo system, Sam, I'm sure we're going to talk about this. It is a rating system which was, I suppose, made famous by chess. And Arpad Elo himself was a chess master. And it's still the system, it's still the rating that is used in chess. But it's also been used, I suppose, for multiple sports since, and multiple games since, particularly all the online games. So people who are competing against each other, it works very well in two-person games. So I compete against you, you beat me, I take your points. I beat you, I take your points, and so on and so forth until you work out who is the strongest of all the players. So that's the general gist of how it began, and it began in chess, and it is still, as I say, still used in chess. But the key for us, Sam, is that for once we are not the people who've designed the methodology. I mean, we never are. Sean Murray does it anyway, but it's not our take on things, which is a bit of a relief, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a nice tried and tested system. You've described it quite well there when you talk about the sort of gaining and giving of points based on who you take on. You don't lose all, you don't go from zero to hero in one go. But your aim is to basically beat people. That's the aim of any sport. And everyone starts off with a neutral rating. So 1500. We're going to start getting into some of the numbers so people get familiar with what a good Elo sounds like. 1500 is where everyone starts. And from that point onward, so in our sport, that's typically a 6-year-old coming in at its first 2-star short. That's a typical starting point. They'll come in with 1500, but wherever you come in, 3-star short, wherever you come in with 1500 points when you enter the system. And then in each competition, you're basically having head-to-head battles with everyone in that competition. So there might be 40 starters, but depending on the quality of those starters, so how many points they have, and that is crucial. That's why this rating is so good, is because it is it's tracking everyone's performance around the world. So winning at Aachen is going to mean a huge amount more than winning in maybe a 5-starter, 4-star short, which you do get from time to time around the place. So when you take on someone, you're going to be taking a portion of their points if you beat them, and you're going to be surrendering a portion of your points if they beat you. And that is how it works. And it just then grows over time. And as we start going through it, what you'll see is that this works brilliantly in eventing, because it not only kind of passes the logic test of putting a lot of the familiar names that we know, that you see them with great ratings, but you'll also start to see that when we start looking from a predictive point of view, going, okay, let's look at people's Elo ratings coming into a competition, how they perform. You'll see this lovely linear trend is going like, wow, it really is a good indicator, a strong indicator of likely performance.
Can we start with the good stuff? I mean, there's loads of it, but I'm thinking, who's the best land horse in the world?
I'm just looking through my plan. It's amazing that I have a plan. The last thing I want to tick off is, because people are thinking about this now, it's whirling around in their heads. If you withdraw before cross country, it doesn't affect your Elo. Okay, so there is no perfect kind of system of dealing with this situation, because famous withdrawals, probably Ballamore class at Mill Street, really, really strong Mill Street field. I'm saying that because I was placed there. But it was genuinely a very strong field, and he was well clear. He on balance for probability would have highly likely won that competition, but he withdrew because he was going to Burley. Obviously, you don't want him surrendering all his points and dropping his rating in that situation. You will occasionally have people withdrawing because they did a terrible test or they had fences down, and you'd be thinking, God, their rating should be dropping. So that, yes, they're getting away with it a little bit, but there's no real perfect way. We will delve into that in time. I say we, Sean Murray will look at that, but for now, that's where we are on withdrawals. The same thing, which is far less common, but it has happened with a couple of high profile horses, is where they retire on cross country without penalties. So these planned, I haven't seen one in a couple of years, but Mickey Young used to do it with Rakana and Sam. I remember Porig doing it with Mr. Chunky, Porig McCarthy, where they jump maybe 10 fences on cross country and then pull up, because again, they have another target. So your Elo won't drop in that situation. And I think then that's kind of the housework done. I wanted to give a little shout out to Simple Metrics. We've had people coming to us. I've had people through on form who wanted, coaching and stuff like that, going, this is what I'm aiming for. This is where my Simple Metrics are at. And I'm kind of blown away by that. People actually calculating their own Simple Metrics. You won't, folks, I'm afraid, be able to calculate your own Elo, because it's not simple. It's complex. It's a brilliant number, but we are going to make it available to you. There's going to be a website. It's going to be Stat Center.
It's up. Yeah. It's up.
Well, you do that bit then. You give them the good news that Christmas has come early.
Christmas has come early, everybody. You just go on to EquiRatings.com, and there's a piece on the homepage that says Elo Ratings. Go in there and you can type in your own name. That's it. And I mean, you can also just have a play around. You can say, show me the best Elos by country. Show me the all time. So the all time is an interesting one. the all-time highest Elo ever achieved and when was it achieved. So that's sort of like the best horse. So, I mean, it's difficult to say the best horse ever because we go back to 2010, as you know. So I suppose the best horse of the decade. But it gets interesting.
We started building the rating back in 08, on data in 08, so that you need a good picture. Like you definitely need about 2 years, arguably about 3, to really start getting a feel. But what was interesting is like I started looking at, some of the best Le Leon horses and things like that. And actually there are some from back in 2011 and things like that really stand out. So it is cool. It is going to allow us to do some quite cool comparisons.
I think we'll come back. I want to come back at the end because I want us to be, I mean, the goals for me, the big thing here is there's never been a rating for horses in the sport. And that's something that is so talked about in racing, so talked about in so many sports, but in particular in racing, you get such a picture, and we talk about it all the time, just saying what's their RPR will be the racing post rating. However the rating and whichever body it's from, having a rating for a horse or for a player is critical. It just adds so much insight so quickly. So that's what I'm excited about. There hasn't been a rating for event horses ever. I mean, we've been around for 5 years. We've looked at all sorts of different ratings, I suppose hence the name. But we've had risk ratings, which we do through ERKI. We've had HPRs, which is the high performance rating, which the Olympic teams use. But that mainly tracks a performance. So a HPR is associated with a performance on a day. But this is a rating for a horse. And I suppose in some ways, Sam, it's funny that we haven't really settled on one because it's not an easy thing to do. We haven't really settled on one for event horses around the world. And this is our first go at it. And well, let's dive into it. But that's what I'm excited about. Every horse in the world will now have a rating.
Yeah, because it is the type of sport where, you're absolutely entitled to. I mean, the most recent one is more the difference between a long format horse and a short format horse. You're entitled to make that, but you definitely have low scoring horses versus reliable horses. I mean, you look at the last few badminton winners in Veneer Chimera, Classic Moe, those types of horses are, your kind of more traditional battlers. Although Veneer Chimera is pretty low scoring and can hold her own in a short format, but Piggy doesn't really unleash her in those. So you're always kind of having these conversations and putting ifs and buts. The Elo only cares about who you're beating and how consistently you're beating them and how good they are. Like the quality of your opponents and the frequency with which you beat them, how clinical you are. So
what if you only rock up once a year and you win?
You're not going to be beating enough people. You're going to steadily build that Elo, but what you want to do, and actually it's a good point, Dee, because the horses that we see more frequently in internationals are German horses. And that's a little bit the setup. Great Britain has one of the biggest national eventing circuits in the world. The US is probably coming second to them, but that's why you see a lot of the people based in Britain maybe don't do quite as many internationals. ERM, I think, has been great from that point of view because it's gotten people into those 4-star shorts more frequently. So yeah, you do want to be rocking up with some frequency in order to get that rating up. But as we'll see, well, we may as well just start talking about it. Ballamore Class has only been out once this year. We've talked about him as being one of the most consistent 5-star horses. He's got these 5 top 5s in 5 stars, and that's at Badminton and Burghley, by the way. The biggest and toughest 5 stars, which we will now start to back up with things like Elo ratings, talking about the quality of the field and things. He's just become the first ever British ridden horse to go over 2,000 points in Elo. Now, to give that some context, he is currently ranked 5th in the world. So there are 4 German horses ahead of him. And when you go on to our current rankings, folks, when you're on the website and you're looking at our current rankings, it's any horse that has competed within the last 2 years. So then, you're going to, if you haven't been out in the last 2 years, you're going to drop off it. And you need to start looking at the all-time Elo. So there's a tab there to change to all-time. But currently, Ballamore class is ranked 5th in the world. 4th, let's do a dramatic countdown. Have you got them in front of you, Dee? Do you want to take over?
I've got them in front of me. 4th is multiple 5-star winner. She played second fiddle to her stablemate Sam for a long time, but I think it's really interesting to see us up there. Sam is not in the current Elo list. So top right now, not even top. Wow, I'm giving it away. Not even top for Michael Young, but in 4th position is Fisher Rakana. She, and I should say, Sam's worth mentioning, Oliver Town in Ballamore class, he has broken the 2000 mark. He's on 2001 as an Elo rating. Rakana's up there on 2028. And when you see the rankings, that 20 points isn't massive, I would say. Or whatever, 27.
Yeah, it depends where you're dealing. Like the 27 will become big when you're down in like 1800 territory.
Yeah.
But at the top, you do start to see people putting some distance between them. But like for Ballamore class to be the first, think of the great British horses that we've seen throughout the decade, and Ballamore class is the first to cross. So crossing 2,000 points is a huge deal. In fact, I think Ballamore class is probably the only non-German horse to ever pass 2,000 points. So these are huge numbers. But Fisher Rakana, as you say, a 3-time winner of Kentucky 5-star, and second in a World Championship, second in a European Championships behind SAP Hailbob as well. So she's one of the all-time greats. She's the only mare in the top 5, but she's one of 4 mares in the top 15. So we'll look at that angle again in a second. 3rd place, you can do second. Then I'll let you. I'll do 3rd and 2nd. I'll let you do the one in top. It'll be rude. 3rd place, Fisher Chipmunk, FRH Michael Young, 11 points ahead of the stablemate Fisher Rakana. They're on 2039, and I mean there's still room there for that partnership to improve. They probably, I think, a big 5-star result is probably the next thing, but they were runners up at the Europeans last year. That's where a big jump in their rating came. And they did drop 16 points on their last run. So that's the other thing you'll see on our website is you'll see, did they go up or down on their last run? So that's Fisher Chipmunk in 3rd. 2nd, this is a horse that I think there's quite a lot of discussion about. We're big fans of him because he's one of the most clinical winning machines in the sport. He's won 9 of his last 11 internationals. Samurai Deto and Julia Krajewski, the 2nd rated highest horse in the world right now on a score 2060.
Yeah, I think the Samurai is one of the best examples of the Elo because they run plenty and they win plenty.
Against good horses too. And I think people will... Horses,
yeah. I always think Samurai Deto is overlooked. I mean, because a lot of British listeners, they're going to be thinking, where's Toledo? Toledo's in 8th place. Where's All-Star B? She's in Roz is in 6th place on All-Star B. Samurai Deto, as you mentioned, Sam, 9 wins in their last 11 runs. I mean, it is so clinical. I think you can, if you stretch beyond that, I think you'll see, it moves into, 20 wins in their last 30. It's, it's big. They're consistently out and they're consistently winning. They would have had, they were another high profile withdrawal, as you mentioned, Sam. They would have broken the record for the 7 international wins in a row had they not withdrawn from Wiesbaden a couple of years ago when in the lead. And when they were in the lead, I'm pretty sure it was in the lead at the time over the person who's in top spot. No real surprises. I was not surprised to see that this horse was the top horse in the world. As you know, it'll be SAP Hailbob and Ingrid Klimke. They're 33 points clear of Samurai on 2,093 points. Double European champion at this point, second at the World Games. and an Aachen winner. I mean, we can go on and on about SAP Hellbob, but again, they run often and they run to win often, and very often they do win. I was actually more interested to see where they would sit in the all-time list. So, like this decade, how do they compare? And we'll come to that in a moment, but they're not top, as you might expect. There is one horse that we've seen this decade that sits ahead of them. But that is, I think, very interesting, Sam, in a number of areas. The top 4 horses on this rating in the world right now are all German. And well, 2 of them are with the same rider, which means you're not going to be able to bring them all to Tokyo. And I think there's definitely going to be question marks over Hellbob, whether he goes. There's going to be question. Huracan is unlikely to go, so it'll likely be Chipmunk. So you
could take the top 3. You could take the top 3.
You could take the top 3. You could.
And what's interesting, I think you're right. I think you're right to flag up the fact that, you know, Hellbob might be a year older, and there's a huge threat coming from his own stable in SAP Ashapi as well, who features just into our top 15. She's at 4th mare in the top 15. If those 3 went, though, here's the interesting angle. When we look at dream teams, so we've just talked about, you know, being over 2,000 points there. The German team of 2016, so that German Olympic team, there would have been 4 members on it, and their average Elo rating at that time going into the Olympics was 2,048. And they're the only team on our history books to ever have an average Elo for the team over 2,000 points. And these guys, if you took those top 3, they'd actually be on 2,064. So this you could be looking with Hellbob, Samurai, and Chipmunk, where they are right now. You could be looking at the strongest ever team. Hellbob is not at his peak rating. He's at 2,093 right now. He has been at 2,113. So he's on a downward curve, probably slightly. I mean, but from such heights that he's still clearly in the picture. He's the best horse in the world right now.
I mean, it's interesting just on that. If you were looking at the 3 Brits, it's Ballamore Class, All-Star B, and Toledo. The Kiwis have 2 in that top 10 as well. Balmoral Sensation with Clark Johnson, and Classic Moa with Janelle Price. Byro, poor old Byro's in the list, top 10. He's still in the current list because he's competed in the last 2 years, but what a horse. One of the things that I don't know, did we give it enough attention at the time? You know, when we lost Byro from the sport? I mean, it was talked about.
Yeah,
But I mean, this is it's a little reminder to me that, like, Byro was such a great horse.
Yeah, great results at Buccalo. Really came close to winning a 5-star at Le Moulin. Yeah. I think it was the same year that he had a missed flag, you know, but came out and jumped clear on the last day. You know, okay, Quarry Crest Echo could have made that same argument, but I'm pretty sure Byro was ahead of him at that time as well. So, and it would be a big deal for a non-Big Six nation to win a 5-star, you know, and Byro is one of those horses. It's also great to see. I mean, obviously, we're probably both biased, but to see Horseware Stella rebound there in 14th in the world at the moment, you know, to have an Irish flag up there as well. It is great to see that that diversity coming in. But yeah, seeing a flag from the Netherlands up there in the top 10. What it makes you do is it makes you go and dig into these horses a little bit. I mean, God, we've done it when we're building the rating. You know, you see Byron Party because, oh, should he be there? You know, Veneer Chimera is 2 points, 2 places below. And that's a good point then to discuss tactics, because Veneer Chimera, when you run slow on purpose, like this is an algorithm. We can't account for that human behavior. So at face value, you've lost. So what I would say is that is happening less and less. There used to be much more of a common culture, and it's mostly a GB thing. You know, you don't see the French do that often. I mean, there's exceptions. There's always exceptions, but it is happening less where you see people just running slowly on purpose. That's obviously going to drop your Elo rating. So if Veneer Chimera, if you took out her intentional slow runs, or if she went faster on those days, you know, she'd probably pick up her rating. But it doesn't always drop. Like even sometimes when you have a slow run, depending on, you can have a slow run and still finish, 6th or 7th, and your rating might go up because of that. And it's a big point to make that 2 of the top 3 horses, we talked about Samurai de Tho, but Fisher Chipmunk, the brunt of the work of Fisher Chipmunk's rating was done by Julia. It takes a long time to get to 2,000 points. And I lied a little bit earlier when I said that Ballamore Class was the only non-German horse I could think of that had crossed 2,000 points. But when I flicked the all-time tab, I see 2. How could I have missed them? 2 of the legends up there in 4th, Nereo and Andrew Nicholson, and in 9th, Avebury and Andrew Nicholson again. 2 of the greats of the sport. And they're up there. Nereo got to 2,084 points. It's lofty heights. You could only dream of reaching ratings like that.
Let's talk about, just for a moment before we go into some of the kind of analysis on it. What a question it is to say who's the best event horse in the world, because you'll never get the same answer, because the second question has to be like, for what? Is it for the Olympics? Is it for badminton? Is it for Burghley? They're probably not the same type of horse. So you've got to get to a point where you say, are we looking at how do you assess the best horse right now? And to just go with competitiveness, like what horse runs and wins, or what horse runs consistently and consistently beats other people, that has to be one of the measurements. And when you go back then, Sam, when you look at, we'll come to all time in a minute, but when you look at the current top, let's say we take the top 25, top 25 horses in the sport on our rating right now, is there any surprises? I mean, let's just talk through them. Hail Bob, I think you could, I think it's reasonable to say is the best horse in the world right now. I don't think.
Yeah, he's 2 double. Like you have to let recency, but you can't just take this on their most recent results. Like you couldn't, otherwise you'd be saying London 52 is the best in the world, and we'll get to him on the list. But you have to build it up. Hail Bob has won 2. He's won the last 2 European Championships and individual medalist at WEG. So the last 3 the last 3 major championships, he's won an individual medal. Absolutely, and won a 5-star and done so much.
But you could definitely, what I mean is, like, there's no real surprises here. You can definitely have an argument around certain horses, including Hail Bob, by the way, because you can say, well, why is that not dropping? Is the show jumping? We've had some days where we've been let down in the show jumping. We had a 20 at Aachen in 2018. Last poll came down at WEG. You can definitely have the argument, but does it make sense if we were taking it? Is it arguable? It's not a surprise. Hail Bob is there. Samurai, not really a surprise when actually, I mean, the arguments can happen, and then you go and you remember to check their actual set of results, and it's incredible. Chipmunk, I think the same. Rakana, the same. People might say Rakana against Ballamore Class, but is that a little bit of recency? Fisher Rakana, when you think of the 3 Kentucky wins in style. Ballamore Class just ahead of All-Star B, I think really interesting, not like just 10 marks between them, but I think it makes sense. Like, you can definitely argue it both ways, but in terms of how often they're out, I think it definitely makes sense. Balmoral Sensation is one, Sam, that I would say just ahead of Toledo. You would say, okay.
Yeah, I think the important thing to bear in mind here, you're always going to see older horses up here, because, as I say, to build, it is so much about building a rating. And Balmoral Sensation top 5 at an Olympics, top 5 at badminton, then you take in a huge amount of consistency and quality in the Southern Hemisphere as well, that he's just constantly chipping away and adding to it. So yes, he's up there. I mean, if I was to say today, which horse do I think of, that's going to be opinionated, and I'm leaning towards Ballamore Class, I think, is particularly for an event like badminton.
You think he'll climb on that list over the next 6 months or
exactly.
year?
I think he's the horse that we've mentioned so far that is still on the up, and maybe Fisher Chipmunk. And wow, what a head-to-head. I'd love to see Fisher Chipmunk and Ballamore Class going at it head-to-head. That would be awesome. I look forward.
Moe, Classic Moe is there, number 9, Byron number 10, we've mentioned. So that's not going to grow, unfortunately. That one is going to be static.
Toledo could grow in 8th. I still think
Toledo could go. No, I'm sorry. That's just because of the circumstances.
And probably like Classic Moe was probably in a similar mold. And I don't know if she would have gone above. She's more in the mold of a Ballamore Class. She's a Badminton Burley type horse.
Zagreb is 11 and Veneer Chimera is 12. I think that's cool. It's interesting. And
Zagreb's
then 13. You've got, they're just little interesting pockets. Zagreb, Veneer Chimera, and Vasily. You can have, pick the best of those three. There's 1960 is Vasily, 1961 is Veneer, and 1963 is Zagreb. So pretty much nothing between them. I think actually looking at it here, Vasily would have been just ahead of Veneer Chimera until Protoni. He's just lost 2 marks, but you can see how tight everything is beginning to get now, Sam, even in this top. Look in this top 10 to 20. There's a couple of marks between them all.
And that's interesting. You see, with Vasily de Lassos there, I think he was second in Protoni, but a much lower quality field than the types of competitions that the horses of the caliber we've been talking about would have been competing in. And by not winning, you've just surrendered those 2 points. It's not a bad result by any means, but that's the danger of competing in smaller and lower quality fields, is that you're quite susceptible to losing points. There's more to lose and less to gain. That's the big one probably. Whereas if you go to Burley or Badminton, there's an awful lot to gain. You win those, you're going to shoot up.
You don't even need to win, though. It's just it's taking the points of who you finish ahead of.
Exactly. There's a lot of good opponents that you could finish ahead of. Like London 52 went up 44 points for his Poe win.
Yeah, that's a big jump. Horseware Stellar Rebound, as you said, 14. Asha P, 15. Virgil gets in here. Shane Rose, 16. 1940.
I wouldn't overlook Asha. Like Asha P, SAP Asha P on 1955 already. She's a young horse. Like she's the youngest horse we've mentioned so far. She's with one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. I think you could actually argue that Ingrid is the best rider in the world right now on championship. Piggy French might have something to say about that. Mickey Young might have something to say about that. Oliver Townend, world number 1, might have something to say about that. But Ingrid Klimke and SAP Asha P already 15th in the world. This horse is surely only going up.
Here's what's interesting from a kind of, definitely recency bias. But Asha P, I don't think for many people would be 7 places above London 52 on 1926. But they're there and they're consistently doing it. If you go have a look. Do you know who they've beaten plenty? Not plenty, but at least I think 3 times now. They've beaten Hillbop.
Yeah.
Asha P, 4-star short maybe at Lemoulin.
That's SAP Asha P's consistency. So, London just surrendered a few points at the early end of last year, but he's on a great run. Like if he keeps doing what he's doing, he is going to soar through this top 20. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where everyone goes next spring, but there's going to be big movements. I can't wait. Like imagine now with this live there, I'm starting to preview events like Chatsworth and things like Belton early in the year. Which I think is now Thoresby. Well done. Yeah. It's a name change, venue change. But imagine those competitions now are going to take on real significance.
Do you know what's cool? You get to you can search for horse or rider on this site, so that allows you to see where you are. But you can also then go by nation, and it'll show you what the top 25 by nation. I'm just looking at Britain at the moment. Ballamore Class, again, you've mentioned him. He's over 2,000 points on the current. All-Star B, Toledo, Zagreb, Veneer, Zinshira, London 52, Kilnabrad Nevo's there, Ivor Gooden, Brookfield Innocent, Bolana, Cooley Masterclass, Mr. Bass, Arctic Soul. Again, Molly Summerland's made it in. Charlie van der Heijden is 16th on the British ranking now, ahead of Billy the Red, ahead of Treason.
Here's a fun game to play, Jim.
Go on.
The back on the Dream Team theme.
Yeah.
That's a good little ring. That could be a podcast in itself. But the highest rated ever Great British team that we've seen based on average ELOs of the team riders was that 2018 team that they didn't absolutely destroy the field because the Irish were hot on their heels. But they were clinical in winning. They put a record World Games score on the board. Their average ELO was 1914, so 1,914. Now, what you have to bear in mind is that was teams of 4. So you're averaging 4 horses ELOs. You now only have to average 3. So in Tokyo, we're going to see a lot of teams fielding their strongest teams on paper because there's only 3 of them. But 1,914 was their average. I mean, they have plenty of horses above that. In fact, from Cooley Masterclass up. So Cooley Masterclass, Bulana, Brookfield Innocent, they all are above 1914. So they could all bring that average up. So if you were fielding a team like Palomar Class All-Star B and Toledo de Cursor, they would be... That's going to be the strongest British team we've ever seen.
Ireland's interesting. Well done. You're 1878. It's good going, isn't it?
West. I think that's the first time we've mentioned an ELO in below 1900, but there we go. It's good I'm delighted, yeah. It's probably my highest ever. It's probably the highest I've ever got a horse ranked.
Well, I'm actually going to just type in your name now. Sam Watson.
Well, go to all time and then type in my name.
Okay. Imperial Sky. Yep, 2020. This is your highest ranking, 1878. Horseware are the highlight, who you famously won a silver medal on at the World Games. He got to 1850. That's your second highest. So Imperial Sky is scoring higher than are the highlight. Would you agree with that?
Well, like he's in his last 6 internationals, he's not been out of the top 2. He is beating opponents with clinical frequency. He should have beaten. He should have beaten Horseware Stellar Rebound. Only was a second over the time.
It says here that 2013 was the highest you ever got Bushman to. 18.
I'd say that was after. Yeah, I'd say that was that. I was probably after Malmo Europeans. I forgot that on the Bushman pod. I was going through, I was so busy concentrating on how we had to bounce back mentally from championships. They hadn't always been kind to us, and I actually forgot the one where he was actually really good at Malmo. So I'd say that's kind of where that comes from.
I'm going to pick you. Give me a country.
Let's have a look at Team Australia, mate. Team Australia. Let's go south first, mate, and then we'll go west.
Oh, interesting. All time. Sam Griffiths, Paula Broca. 19.
Interesting. The lowest.
2018, she hit that.
But she's the lowest rated badminton winner. So generally, to be a badminton.
Sam Griffiths has the top 2 rated horses this decade from Australia.
No, dude, I think you have a Sam filter.
Oh, that's very funny. My Sam filter is still on. I was like, that's unreal. Oh, it's Andrew Hoy and Vasilida Lassos, 1962. That's very good. Where is
we're not even in the same. Obviously, we're not in. That was good that I guessed that because we're obviously remote.
Yeah, Palenbrock is the number 4, not number 1 in the all time. Vasily is actually just rated ahead of Graf Liberty from 2019, got to 1953. Virgil, again, 2020. That's quite interesting, isn't it?
Because he's potentially still on an upward curve.
Well, I mean, Vasily, 2 of their top 3 ratings from Australia are 2020 ratings.
Yeah, and Graf Liberty is he's a current horse. That's in his 2019. So
in the top 5 there, you've got Kilronan, Paul Tapner, from 2015. You've got Holstein Park, Lilani in 6th from 2013 for Chris. But what's really interesting about those, Sam, is Virgil and Vasily, and as you say, Graf Liberty, 2020 rating, 2019 rating, 2020 rating. Next country, please.
Let's go to the US of A.
This is a great game. You can do this all day, can't you? Okay, top rated Z, Philip Dutton from 2020. Another current.
He's in the current top 20 in the world right now. Well, he's certainly in the current top 25.
Lachlan Glenn made it in here, number 2 from 2016. He was riding high in 2016. And Marlon Little is number 3 on RF Tabasco from 2013. That was a big long run of wins, I think, wasn't it? Donner and Lynn Samansky in 2017. Ballino Castle, God, there was a podcast about him, I think, not too long ago. 2015. Scandalous makes it in from 2018. Wow. What's interesting here, Sam, is probably the complete opposite of Australia. Oh my God. De Niro Z is 11. Joined with same rating as Manoir de Carnival for Sinead Hampton.
Yeah, well, Manoir de Carnival was a great horse. I remember
De Niro Z is a great horse. But what's interesting is 2013, 2020. But what I'm actually going towards, Sam, and maybe this follows intuition a little bit, there is only one horse in the top 10 rated US horses from either of the last 2 years. Sorry, do you get what I'm trying to say there?
Yeah, also in their
top 10 all time, only one is from 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, so what you're getting at is whereas when we came from Australia, where actually some of their strongest horses that they've had in the last decade are right now in this moment in time. That's not so much the case for the US, but Z is top. He's 2020. De Niro Z is 11th, and Setzer, I'm quite surprised. I was quite surprised to see Setzer. He's down in 15th.
Yeah, I see him there. 1879. He's pretty much rated same as Imperial Sky. Isn't that right?
That's interesting. Yeah. And maybe that's you don't see. I mean, this is what I find interesting about the Elo is that how often have we seen Setzer against those bigger European hitters? Probably yes, when he was second at Kentucky, there were a handful, but literally only a handful. Quarry Crest Echo, Xavier Fair, beaten by Cooley Masterclass, and none of them have really featured too high. So that's what's lacking there probably. At the 2018 WEG, it didn't go his way, whereas Z does have that, that WEG to
he would have. I'm just looking at his results there as well. He would have given away. He came 20. I mean, he's again similar to Imperial Sky. He's won from his last 1, 2, 3. From his last 6, he's 1, 2, 1, 1, and then just before he won a try-on this year in the long format a couple of weeks ago, he finished 24th at Maryland when Philip rode him in a 3-star short. So a load of people would have taken points off him for that, I'd say.
I know what's happening. Philip knew what he was doing. He knew EquiRatings were. Yeah. And he knew he needed Z at the top of the list. So he's like, I'll just get a little time.
Yeah, sabotage. Okay, next country, please.
Oh, goodness me. Let's go for the current Olympic champions, the enigma that is France. May as well give ourselves difficult names to pronounce as well.
France. Where did I put my ratings?
Is that a song? It sounds like.
I was clicking around too much after losing my ratings. Hang on.
Well, on current, we've got King de Brio. I like the way you were going with all time, actually. Oh, interesting. So I've gone for the all time French, and it is our friend Piaf de Neuville. I think quite rightly so. A silver medalist at an Olympic Games, individual silver medalist, a 5-star winner in his own right at Pau on home soil. A horse that went to badminton and got good results there.
Oh, Sam, they're on the downward curve. Look, just King de Brio, Thibaut Villette. Should you take them? 2017 Piaf.
All relative.
You're
saying these are all big ratings. Like Piaf de Neuville 1,993. He's getting close to that 2,000 legends
From
bar.
2017, though. From 2017. Look at the currents. The highest they have is 1931. 1934 is King de Brio. Opening the various.
As a bit of a game is you could start going through the countries and taking the top 3 current elos and starting to try and get a little bit of feel for how Tokyo might go.
You're a bad man.
They have 2 of 1,900.
This is great.
1,900 is a serious rating to get over that.
I'm going to go with Italy. Who do you think's Italy? You guess. Who do you think's Italy's all-time top-rated horse?
Borough Pennies.
Correct. What year?
2030.
Correct. That's what makes the WEG at Cannes not stop.
Oh yeah, she
arrival in the dressage warm up,
and she withdrew in the warm up.
She withdrew in the warm up.
Can you name another famous occasion where a high
Michael Young
talent? Well done. That's what I was going to go with.
Now,
does my friend Giovanni Ugolotti have anything in the top?
Does he have anything in the top? I could give you 12th on current in Italy. 12th in Italy on current. That's what I can offer you there. In the all-time list,
not sure if he's going to be happy with that.
No, he's not going to be happy with that. Giovanni features 20th in the all-time list, but with what horse? Same year as 2013. Same year as Vittorio Panzan and Borough Pennies, which I've already given away.
Is it Stilo Cantica?
I'm afraid it is not. You've lost everything. It was Oplitas.
Oh, Opli. He's ridden a lot of, he's been to a good few championships on a good number of different horses. He's a very good rider. I know I've already told people he's my friend, so no one can take that with any weight whatsoever.
Next country, please.
Right.
Give me a hard country.
Well, I do. No, I have to go to New Zealand. I can't. I have to complete kind of the set here. NZL.
NZL.
I'm going to join you, by the way. I don't like being quizzed.
Oh, come on. This will be good. Don't look yet.
I won't look yet.
This is controversial.
I already know who the top 2 are because I've mentioned them on this podcast for people who are listening and paying attention.
They've broken the 2,000 mark. It is Nereo at the top of the list. 2017 Nereo comes in at 2084. And 2015 Avebury comes in at 2023. Again, you couldn't argue with that.
No, absolutely.
Okay, number 3 all time is currently competing. Balmoral Sensational Clark Johnson, just below the 2,000 mark on 1995.
Classic Moy.
No, you're wrong. There's one in between. You hate him, I love him. His name is Leonidas. In 2017,
that's a bit strong to say. I think that's. Anyway,
you consistently mention the disappointment. Leonidas from 2017 was rated on 1994. Now I'm just going to take a pause.
Leonidas now represents Ireland, so I am a lover.
But you've never
believer now.
Yeah. Now you are, but sure, that's easy.
Well, and I think he might be the best horse to never win a 5-star as well.
Yeah, I know. That's the kind of thing that riles up his owners, the way you keep mentioning that. He actually is in the 12th in all-time list. How'd you like that?
Yeah, well, there
ahead
you go.
of All-Star B.
I'm going to have to look at that because I need to see, is he actually, based on Elo, is he actually, on the only non-subjective way of answering this question, is he actually the best ever horse to not win
a 5-star? I can tell you that.
Escada. So Sam top, then Hail
Sam
Bob,
top,
and
yes.
Upgun Luvo.
Yes. Upgun Luvo, yes.
Yes. Yeah. World Games.
Nereo, yes. Samurai.
Sam, yes. Lemulan. People might forget that Samurai Deto is a 5-star winner. Fisher Chipmunk is the no. He's not won a 5-star.
Not to win a 5-star. Escada, yes. Rocana, yes. Avery, yes. Balmoral Class, yes. Balmoral Sensation?
Yes, one Adelaide.
Then
it's Leo.
Leonidas is not the best horse not to win a 5-star.
And who is the best British horse not to win a 5-star? A lot of people love this one. Absolute head case. Yeah. Arctic Soul.
Who is
and then Mr. Bass. Mr. Bass is in the top 20 of all time, equal with
from 2019, Mr. Bass. 2019,
exactly.
Mr. Bass.
Interesting.
Fascinating. Anyway, we could do this all day. Is there anything else you want to tell me about the Elo?
Right, quick thing. So the average rating of a badminton winner is 1,920 points. So not as
1,920. So
go to current.
That's lower than I would think. 1,920. There are all of the top 25 are in that bracket.
Yeah.
But it's the average win, the average. So surely there's a few in there who brought that down.
There are, like Pauline Brocco was 1823 when she won badminton.
She had no right to win badminton on that.
Sam was the highest rated winner of badminton in 2016 when he waltzed in there for a grand slam just for a cool $250,000. Mickey just moonwalked in there on a rating of 2,125. Sam's ratings. I mean, Sam will do something.
Sam is the best of all time. Yeah,
absolutely.
When we say all time, we mean the decade.
He's the record holder. So the highest ever Elo rating. He broke the computer in 2017 with a rating of 2,173 after winning which event, Dermot Byrne?
2017. Oh, I hate this little quiz. 2017. So
think about this. Think about where could you? That is incorrect because
who won 2017?
That was an array. That was the year an array beat him.
And then Sam won the next year?
Sam won Aachen later that year. No, Sam won the year before. He won 2016. He won the Grand Slam in 2016, and then he went on to win.
He broke the badminton record in 2016. Is that right?
Exactly. Well, he was the highest rated winner of badminton that year.
No,
he was the highest
finish. He won on the lowest ever score, though, didn't he?
Oh yes, yeah. That was his record. Yeah.
So, but no, was Aachen 2017.
Yes, and Aachen is a place if you want to. If anyone listening to this podcast would like to bump up their rating, go and win Aachen.
Interesting here as well on the all-time list. 2017 looked like a bumper year for some of these. Noreo, his best is 2017. We've mentioned the reason why. Opgun Luvo. I'm surprised Opgun Luvo's top rating was 2017. I always thought Opgun Luvo won the World Games and then kind of chilled out a bit. But he was climbing.
His again. Look at it. Remember when we were doing the simulated Aachen, the Champion of Champions. You saw how he had 5 top 5s there or something, or 5 top 3s or something. I mean, insane record there. I'm brilliant horse, just brilliant.
Yeah. I think that's it, is it?
I think that's the show.
That's the rating. It's been released. So what are we calling it?
The EquiRatings Elo.
The EquiRatings Elo. The Elo system. The Elo
designed by Sean Murray.
Designed by Sean Murray.
There's lots of things. There's your rating, your rating goes up quicker if you the higher level that you're competing at, things like that. But obviously, as a result of that, if you perform badly at a 5-star, your rating is going to drop more as well, because we basically, you have to increase the stakes. It matters more. There's lots of things about it, like the speed at which you can build it or the speed at which it drops and stuff is, but how it is optimized is, and so that's completely data driven as to why the algorithms work. And they are designed that if someone has a higher Elo, what the computer does is it maximizes the probability of that person beating the other person. So if you're 200 points clear on Elo of another horse, you've got something like a 76% chance of beating them or something. And then it's like you can get up to a 90% chance and stuff. But that's why we don't bring Sean on the podcast because he'd criticize it because it's his baby, and he would talk about confidence, and not the type of confidence that Diarmuid Byrne waltzed around. I've used that word again. Dublin with when he was trying to serenade.
Give me a name. Pick any name you want. Mary. Mary. I'm gonna pick Mary. Maybe this is a bit.
I should have given you a surname, King.
No, give me a new name. John. Okay, I've gone with John. I want you to tell me the rating of the highest ever John.
Horse or rider?
John is his name. Athlete.
The horse's name?
No, athlete. So I've just searched for John and then I've gone to all time.
Well, then you've probably got like...
I've got John Paul Sheffield topping the list on one Woodlander Vesuvio 1971. Second to John Toomey on Highly Recommended, an Australian from 2015. The current best John is also John Paul Sheffield, 3 times in there, ahead of John Minan, who's in number 4.
I mean, with all due respect to JP, he's a great guy. He's not where I expected the Elo.
Are you the best ranked Sam? Sam
Griffith's probably going to beat me.
Is the best ranked ever, Sam. Okay, what about?
And they're currently ahead of me as well by 6 points.
What about Nicole?
Sam Aykroyd up there as well. He's 18-15 with
the all-time best Nicole is Nicole Pearson, Vihara de Cause, and the current best Nicole is Nicole Parisio. Italia. This is such a good game. I presume there's no Diarmuids. No.
We let people get back to their lives, maybe.
There are no records matching your search. Tom, who's the best ever Tom? The cursor.
Just listeners, I don't actually control the pod, so I can't do anything.
Best ever Tom is Tom McHugh.
All I could do is hang up and feel that could. I don't know what.
Tom Crisp is in the top 5 Toms on Cooley's Luxury. Best ever Laura. Give me a name. Jane. The best ever Jane.
That's funny when you put in Tom because you get Kazumo Tomoto as well.
Yeah. The best ever Jane is Jane O'Flynn. Go on.
I learned something like Japan only have 24 registered riders in eventing, or they did in 2019. But they obviously have a serious medal chance given their performance at the last World Games and their performance just day in, day out.
Best ever Frank is Frank Oswald.
We're still playing this game. Anyway, this is backing up what I suspected. The Japanese currently have 3 rated over 900 on the Elo system. So they could field a team with an average rating over 1900. And that is something that Britain have only ever done once. To put it into context, that is how strong the Japanese are getting. The Americans have never fielded a team over 1900. Their best team was in 2016. They averaged 1866. The French, their best team was 2016 when they won that gold medal, but they only averaged 1896. They didn't even average 1900 points, whereas the Japanese could field a team averaging 1900 points. That is how strong that nation has become in the sport of eventing. Fair play, lads.
Shadow Man is the best ever Ben, just ahead of Ben Bog.
I just keep breaking really interesting stuff. You're coming back with John and Tom and Ben.
It's just such a versatile rating. You can do anything you want. You've got a call in 3 minutes. We need to go. It's been a pleasure, Sam. We've launched the Elo at last. You can get it on EquiRatings.com and have fun. We now, for the first time ever, thanks to Sean Murray, have a rating for horses in eventing. That is all for now. We'll be back soon. Say goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank Thank you for listening to the EquiRatings Eventing podcast. This podcast is available for free on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you usually listen to your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Find us at eventingpodcast.com or search Eventing Podcast on social media.